Welcome to episode 8 of the Casual Shooter Podcast. I'm Dave, your host, and my co-host today, Leo and Chris, as usual. All three of us.
Hello.
that
was saying hi.
That was Leo's entrance of the.
Hey,
I know, me. But you didn't do one, Huggy.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kind of like the throw up a peace sign. Hey.
Okay, you're the
that silent... works on YouTube. That doesn't work on the actual podcast, though.
Sorry, my bad. Peace sign. How's that?
Perfect.
I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, so I'll just kick off one of mine real quick.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a longer topic.
Okay.
So for the past week or two, maybe closer to 2 weeks. No, I'm going to say for the last month and a half. Let's just totally change that.
This got serious.
I've been thinking a lot about an episode of someone else's podcast that I heard that had to do with commercialism of USPSA. Now, totally against it. There's an area director. I won't say what area. It is on the other podcast, though, so you can go and listen to it if you want. That he felt that we have 35,000 members. We should probably have 10 times that number at 350,000. I don't necessarily disagree when you're talking, 80 million gun owners? So 1% of 80 million is 800,000. Not a lot of people in 35,000 out of 800. So I understand where he's coming from. I also understood the points that were brought up by the individuals on the podcast that disagreed with him. They were like, it's already difficult enough to get into matches, especially major matches. A lot of them, like what we had, how many were at Area 8? Like 350?
Yeah.
So
it's close to 400.
Yeah. So it filled up quick.
Very quick.
And that was their concern. I could see where you would end up having to take major matches and turn them into multiple day events, kind of like a nationals, but where, we're already doing it where it's over 3 days, but I could see where you'd have to end up expanding that where staff day is on a Thursday, and then you have a Friday of regular shooters, a Saturday of regular shooters, a Sunday of regular shooters with, anyway, what I'm getting at is I understand their concern that we already have issues with enough matches and competitions for everybody to go around. I think if USPSA is driving it, though, I think you can overcome some of those challenges. Making sure my phone is silent. You can overcome some of those challenges if they're involved. But here's the biggest thing I'm getting at. I didn't want to bring this topic up until after nationals because I've shot a few majors, but I've never been to anything that on the pistol side that is quite as big as nationals. I've been to Camp Perry for a high power rifle, so I understand that, but I've never been to an action pistol nationals. Now, I'm going to make let me back up. We got in because we had slots that Shadowhawk gave to us, so we were able to go in with a code and schedule. Otherwise, we would have to wait till it opened up to the general public after everybody with slots registered, and then whatever was left would be open to the general public. Now, something that I think the USPSA is missing out on is ranking. There's no ranking whatsoever. If you look at PRS, Precision Rifle Series, they're very young to all of this. They have a whopping 6,000 members. Now, it is growing, so that is not to slight them in the least. They are a growing sport. I like how they're doing it. They have rankings. I was just on their webpage before we started our podcast, and you can see the rankings of all of their shooters. You can go to the regions and see how they're ranked and how many points each shooter has, which I like a lot. When they have their final match of the year, there is a cash payout. And they even tell you how much the payout is for the top 5 shooters based on the number of shooters competing. And it's not too bad. I feel that you end up getting a hodgepodge of competitors in the divisions at nationals every year. As I understand it, I could be mistaken, but Nils was down there. He was shooting production nationals. He decided, hey, I'm down here. I'm going to shoot limited nationals with my Canic, which is really a production gun. There's nothing limited about it. It's a minor power factor. There's no magwell. There's nothing like that. There's nothing about his gun that is limited in any way. And he ended up being 4th. That was also a topic on a different podcast, not the same podcast I'm talking about with the other topic. And how there were people not on the super squad, like the guy that was on this podcast talking. He said, 3 of the 5 people that were ahead of him at nationals weren't even on the super squad. The guy who won limited was not on the super squad. So it was very interesting hearing all of this and then going back to the podcast from like August time frame about commercialism. I feel that it's time with 35,000+ members that USPSA has to start offering cash payout at nationals. Right now, all you get is a trophy and a prize off of a table. Okay, not too shabby. I mean, for the most part, they all have sponsors who pick up a lot of their tab, but still, you have previous champions who are still in their prime who don't come to nationals, and I feel like a cash payout changes that, number one. Number two, the other issue where the guy said, 3 of the 5 people in front of him were not on the super squad, that all changes if you make a requirement to qualify in the division you're going to shoot in. The only one I would make an exception for is the defending national champ. So Christian Seiler is the Open national champ. Max Michel is the Carry Optics national champ. We could go on down the line, but what I'm getting at is those guys get an automatic in to next year's nationals, and they're on the super squad. Everybody else has to compete, get points for standings within the matches in which they compete, major matches only, not local matches. And then the super squad is made up of those people that are in that ranking. And if you did not, how do I want to say, if you did not earn enough points in a certain division, then you don't compete for the win. So you can't get a cash payout. You can't get any of that prize money because you were not competing in that division. You just decided on a whim what you're going to do. I'm sure that would be controversial in itself, and I'm sure there would be some hangups in trying to figure that out, but I feel like you need to earn your spot into the super squad, and it needs to be those people who have been competing in that division in these major matches, and based on their performance determines where you are. And they don't, and you don't just because you're down at nationals for one thing doesn't mean you automatically get to compete, stay down there and compete in the next nationals in a different division. What are your thoughts?
Huggy, you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, listening to it, I kind of relate this to almost like NASCAR. You know, when they had the series championship and everybody's racing for the points. You know, and that's what it sounds like that you're trying to create is that people race for the points. Now, we all know, like in NASCAR, we all know who the top drivers are, and then that top collective group. So they're going to be racing for these points. Now, what about the people that don't have the name as some of like the top runners? You know, can you get that Cinderella person to how did they slip in and be able to come right up out of nowhere and be like, hey, you guys didn't see me coming, but here I am, and I'm in the chase now, you know, and they give these guys, you know, these top shooters the run for the money. I feel as if I'm not one of those top shooters. I would love to be one of those top shooters. I am a decent shooter for myself in my category. I feel as if, but I am not one of those Maxes or Neils or Silers. So for them to run for the money, that's great. But then I go, well, well, what do I get out of it? You know, I go down here and these guys are getting money, and basically I'm paying them to win this money that I'm paying to get in. So I kind of feel as if, well, what about me, the little guy? Because I like shooting and I enjoy it and I enjoy the competition, but you know, the little guy kind of gets left out, which is fine sometimes. But I just feel as if when you get those top shooters and they're just going to be there all the time, they're going to be the ones making the money. They're the ones that are going to be getting the money, you know. And you look at the people's like that we've had on our podcast. You know, are they going to be able to get up in that arena, you know, with those guys to run for that money? You know, but however, I will say, like, you know, the saying goes, any given Sunday, things can happen, right? I agree. I agree with that 100%. But I also know that when you look at making that that group where they're going to be running, and that group is just like you said, the super squad group. It's like, I'm not going to be in that super squads group. So when I pay to enter in to the competition, I'm pretty much saying, hey guys, here's my money. Go at it. Have fun. I'll see you on the other side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we're doing that now anyways. Just nobody's getting the money except for the USPSA. Like, it's obvious that the three of us and the people in our squad weren't going to be winning their division, their class, anything like that. So we're already paying for somebody else to be the division winner. It's just saying that this, in conjunction with the idea that you're earning points to get there and actually earn a slot, you're competing to earn the slot. And now, yeah, usually the super squad people are going to be the ones that win, but you can't kill them from the couch. You know, you can't slay cardboard ninjas sitting at home. Like, if you don't go, you're definitely 100% likelihood you're not going to win. You're sitting at home.
You're right.
Now, it was like trying to win that 50, the 50 Barrett the other day. I had a 1% likelihood of winning. I paid $200 for a 1% chance. I could have paid $0 and had a 100% chance of losing. You know, but I paid $200 for a 1% chance that I might win.
Actually, you paid $200 for a 99% chance of losing.
That is correct.
Okay, well, I look at it glass 1% full. You know, some of us are a little bit more optimistic than others. But the point being, people are like, at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody that is going to pay for somebody else to win.
Yes.
And I
because
agree with
that's
that,
what we're doing now.
But then I'm also thinking that, okay, I like the idea of the points. So if I go out here and I'm competing in all these local matches and everything of that nature, then I get those points to be able to move up.
No,
Not locals. Remember,
No
not locals.
local.
We're talking majors.
no locals.
Okay, even majors. So I go to these majors, and we're talking points for the major. So that means, these guys who are sponsors are getting paid to go travel to these majors, where myself, who is on a budget, who has a house and responsibilities, and just like you guys have families, it's like we can't all go to all the majors to get the points so that we can be in there. So what do we do then? What about those guys? What happens then?
I don't care about those guys. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Either this is what I'm getting at. And this goes with me too, because I'm in the same boat.
Right.
I have one of two options. Keep doing it for fun and wanting to get better.
Right.
Or turn it into your passion and become a professional shooter. Those are your options.
That is true.
You make your life choice. We, the three of us, have made our life choice.
Yeah.
Word.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
had I known in my 20s about this, then maybe things would be different. I just learned about this a few years ago. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the other part is, like I said, you have previous national champions in their prime not competing. You're not drawing the best competition that there is. By offering cash payouts, you're going to get those people who are passionate about it, who take it from being a hobby to a passion to being driven to be the best. Now you're increasing your level of competition all around.
Right.
And actually, I'm okay with getting points for local matches, but they would be, the points for local matches might be 10 points. The points for a major match, based on whether it's a level 2 or a level 3, would be much greater. So your standings in those matches would be much greater.
Right.
Yes.
They're
But
weighted
there's no
higher.
way. But there's no way a Huggy, a Poe, or a Grumpy is going to earn enough points to be on a super squad or even in the top 50 to compete at nationals, is what I'm getting at.
Right. Regardless of how many locals you're shooting, because the points aren't weighted as highly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
And the thing is, at the end of the day, I think the perspective is that the to get the maximum out of the sport, to grow the sport as much as is possible, you need to get the draw of the people that are bringing the regular Joes along. Like I didn't go to win anything to nationals. I went to have fun, shoot, and to hopefully watch people that I look up to in the sport and maybe learn something. And I think the point is that you're bringing the level of competition up. You're making it more balanced across the board, because like Dave is saying, when people that are winning divisions aren't going to nationals because there's no incentive to go to nationals and they'd rather go teach a class because it's going to make them money, then what's nationals? It's like having an asterisk. Like, oh, this person won, but really only because somebody wasn't there.
right.
Which sucks for the guy that wins, because you're like, oh, I didn't win against the best. I won against everybody else.
Right. And regardless, I mean, I agree with you. You can look at it as there being an asterisk. It'd be no different than if Max didn't show up this year. Now I'm gonna throw this out at you, Huggy. Jason Bradley shooting a canic out of nowhere, second at nationals behind Max Michel. He's not a professional shooter. He doesn't have any huge sponsorships going on that's paying for all his stuff. So it's all about, like what Leo said, you can't slay cardboard sitting on a couch. These guys got up. Christian Seiler was a 19-year-old college kid when he won nationals. He went from third one year to winning the next year. And then he and JJ were in a heated battle this last year, and he came out on top. He's a kid. He's going to college. And he said in his interview before that this was not going to be his career, but it's enough of a passion, and he has a desire to be the absolute best he can be. So therefore, he is at the top. I'm okay with these guys getting it's no different than football, where if you make it to the playoffs, what do you get, Huggy?
You get a bonus.
What happens if you win each
you get
playoff thereafter?
You get bonuses, you get paid well, and your contracts get extended and everything. I get it. I agree. I understand exactly what He's
trying not to be on board, but he really is on board.
Right. You know what?
I'm gonna beat him down with the football.
Right. So let's call it like it is. You know, you're right. But I'm also thinking, I'm trying to think of the average Joe who, like you said, loves the sport. Just like today, I shot today an outlaw steel, and I shot with a group that you could just feel the passion. They're not the greatest shooters ever, but we had the best time. I mean, they loved it. And again, just for the people out there listening, they all love Dave and Leo, so they were asking about them. But anyway, the point being is that they're the average Joes. How are they going to, they heard me talking about nationals, and they were like going, "Hey, really? You went to nationals? How was it? What was it like? Blah, blah, blah. I'd like to go. I'd like to compete. I'd like to get to that level." But, they're thinking like, hey, look at these guys, the Neils and all that stuff. They're not going to be in that level. I just want the passion and the fun like we had when we were down there. I get exactly what you're saying. I also enjoy watching NASCAR, and I watch the point chase and them racing for the points and everything. I put this almost side by side, just like what you're trying to build, racing for the points. And I would have to sit down a little bit more, look at a few more things, but I think you have a great idea. I like it. I think it's something that would be great for the sport. I think you would pull a lot more people out that are very good shooters. Just like Leo said, there are a couple shooters that sat out. I know one in particular, because we all watch his videos. He didn't even show up, this year to shoot, because he's like, I'd rather make money teaching classes. And we all know that if he had appeared at the nationals, some of the people probably would not be in the position that they are in, because he would have walked away with it. But what was he rather make? Make a financial gain versus having an asterisk saying, "Congratulations, here's a trophy, thanks, but I could be making money." I get it. I truly do get it. How do we go about doing that? We're just going to tweak some things, like you're saying. We're going to have to tweak some things to make it work. And I think it's something that the president and whoever else are going to have to sit down and really figure that out.
Yeah, the area directors definitely, I think, need to start weighing in on something like this. And I will say, to be very clear, the asterisk is just it's hyperbole. Obviously, I don't think like the people earned their yes. victories. Like yes. No one is taken away from the fact that they are amazing elite level athletes that have done and accomplished great things that I can only look at and be like, I'm gonna be that guy one day. But to speak to your point though, I don't like NASCAR or like football. Like, people are going to watch and participate at the lower levels because they have the passion. Like the inability to achieve that level isn't going to stop people from trying. I don't think, because you're always going to have pee-wee football. You're always going to have go-kart racers that are like, they're always going to have basketball players and high school football players that are going to be like, I'm going to be a baller when I get older. You're always going to have those people at our level that are going to be like, hey, if I dedicate myself, I can do it. The point is, you need to be the person that actually follows through with that.
Yeah.
So I think you're just, whether you commercialize it more or not, there's always going to be that person or those groups of people that are going to try. However, if you do commercialize it and incentivize it, that, and statistically, even though I know nothing about math, I know statistically speaking, the more people that are involved, the greater likelihood that you're going to find the next Max, Casey, Nils, wants it, like whoever. Like, you're going to find that next person if you give incentive to actually go out and do it. If you don't, they're just going to sit here and be like, it looks interesting, but it costs me money instead of the possibility of like gaining me something in the future, getting me a career, putting me in with a manufacturer, Colt, Sig, Canic, whoever. The ability to earn is what's going to drive that forward in the future, because we're at I think the sport's plateaued a little bit, where we're at a point where we're like, okay, what's our next move to make it bigger, to make it better, to diversify.
And I'll bring this up. I was talking to a coworker of ours, and he used to be at the academy, Leo. He just left recently.
I may or may not know who that is.
On the fire side. Chris, he may or may not be in health and safety right now, filling in. So that should give you guys an idea of who it is. Right. But we got into this conversation yesterday in between the 9,000 calls I was running. And, we kind of compared it to like the X Games. I mean, how long did it take Tony Hawk and Shaun White to make any money? Who was it? Tony Hawk, I think he said, started in the early 80s doing the skateboard stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the mid 90s that he started making actual money on it. And now look how big the X Games and all of that is.
He's got video games with his name on them.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, is my point here is, why not look at it from that perspective? Here we are skateboarding in 1980 for USPSA. Where do we want to be in 10 or 15 years? Can we make it to where it's a bigger sport? There's already a world shoot, so there's already worldwide competition. Why couldn't you turn it into something bigger and monetize it? And then, like we're saying, you're going to draw people out of the woodwork who have the skill, the ability, and the drive to become that next Max Michel, Eric Graffel, Ben Steger, you know what I mean? Yeah. Rob Latham, those people who are huge in the sport that half of the world or 80% of our population doesn't even know about.
Right. 90% no idea that these elite level people exist.
Right.
No clue. You could have the next Shooting Michael Jordan out there somewhere, where people that have never watched a basketball game or have never seen a shoot are gonna be like, I know who that guy is.
Right.
Like, why do Filipinos in the Philippines know more about shooters here than we do?
It's sad.
I'm just saying, like, again, these are people that that they have achieved a level that the normal human without any kind of training is not going to achieve. And yet we're like, meh, okay, well, we don't want to, for whatever reason, commercialization has become like this taboo, which I think is bonkers, because I hate to get political. This is America, Jack. We are a land of entrepreneurship and making things better. And we're like, nah, I don't want to make it too good, because that would suck. Like, why make things just a little bit better?
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, because
I don't want to hear it, but go ahead.
You and I think you already know exactly where I'm going with.
It's fine.
Okay, I think, but I think the sport should grow, but right now we have, and I hate to get into this political arena, I really do, because it just put the bad taste in my mouth and it pisses me off. But you just got those people that are like, oh no, we're advocating this and we're advocating that. And it's like, really? It's a sport. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now from a former football player that played football up to an elite level. Okay, it's a gridiron sport. It's a gladiator sport. I went out there and I tried to hurt people, destroy people. Now, I granted that yeah, the NFL is trying to be a lot nicer and not hit players and all that stuff. But you know what? When I played, it was either get hit and get hurt or you hit them to hurt them. And you know what? I went out there to destroy somebody. And I just, you know what? And I'm sorry that I get into this whole thing because, but I think these people are going to be the ones on the outside that are going to be like, oh, you guys are promoting a bad sport. Oh, and I personally don't think it's a bad sport. I love the sport. I think this thing should go to the next level. I think this thing should be great. Okay, I agree with you guys 100%. But how do we get the people to understand that this is a sport that's a fun?
But it's numbers. It's numbers. There's protection in numbers. The more people that do it, the fewer people that you have on the outside looking in.
Right. But I'm telling you that we need that numbers. We need to get more people in here to get more people in the sport. And like Dave said, maybe the financing is what we need to bring in to say, hey, look, here's a cash payout for you guys to be if you make the chase. If you win the championship, you get this. If you get second, you get this. You third, you get this. You know, we need to do something to make it more competitive and bring out these shooters that stay home to the championship to give that race. You know, but at the same time, I also am like going, I really don't want to hear these people that are like, oh, it just fucking drive me. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I apologize. I almost said it, but I didn't. I caught myself. But these people that just drive me nuts that are going to be like, we're promoting something else. So I think that we need to figure out a way to promote this sport to show that, hey, that this is a great sport. This is a great sport, and this is something that people should come out and try and enjoy. And those guys that are staying home need to make this chase and show that hey, there, like you said, there is a Michael Jordan sitting at home and about to come off the couch and be like, whoo, hey, here we go.
Well, and I've said it like, I think Dave's kids are a great example. Well, kids, they're grown-ups, but Dave's boys are a good example. Like the day that we shot with them, I was like, man, if they had the passion to do this, these jokers could freaking destroy people. And I don't know if it's just genetics or what.
It's that 6 foot tall slim thing.
It's got to be because they're like, listen, Dave made beautiful boys, and those boys are assassins without even trying. And we've talked about this before. Like if they tried even a little bit, they could be out there and just getting after it all day. And I hope that when my boys are old enough, they have, I mean, it could be for anything, but I would love it to be something that we shared, obviously. But if they are into this, I will push it as much as I can without hopefully being the creepy dad that's like, you will do this. But like, again, there's potential for this to become something more than it currently is. And not that it's bad. Like, again, USPSA, IDPA, 3-gun, steel, like all those things could have such a great influence if we weren't so scared to commercialize. I don't know why there's a fear. And I mean, I do know, like, I know that Dave and I talked about this, that some other people on those podcasts have said like, oh, you're just going to have a bunch of, chuckleheads coming out and might water it down or whatever. Well, that's one way to look at it. Or again, it could bring out the next best thing since the sport of shooting existed. But right. You're never going to know if you don't motivate somebody to be like, hey, I'm going to do this.
And look, and going back to the percentages, I just did a quick Google while you guys were talking.
I watched it on your glasses.
It looks like about 40% of American households have guns. 40% of American households have guns. And it looks like at a minimum, 72 million citizens have guns. We have 46% of the world's guns in this country. Now, going back to safety and numbers, if you recruit them and you can, maybe commercialize isn't the best name,
Monetize.
but if you can grow the sport and make it more of a household name, then you now have recruited all of those people to a lifestyle, and you help protect those things. So you grow more than just the sport. You grow protection. You grow the sport. You draw people in. Look, Christian Seiler's like, I'm probably not going to be a professional shooter. I'm going to finish my college degree. I'm going to move into something else. But what if he knew, like the other sports, that he could make a decent living, a good living off of this sport? Does that now change his mind? He still gets his degree, but now he has more avenues. Maybe he goes into executive administration type stuff with a degree. He's getting a business degree in Washington that's hard to get into. It's a very select business school. So is that not someone, a former national champ, two-time national champion at this point, with a business degree from a very select school, now helping to grow the sport, deal with partnerships with other TV, I'm not going to say ESPN, but other TV conglomerates, and sponsors, and just growing it. The United States Shooting Foundation or Shooting Sports Foundation, all of that, growing it, putting all of the shooting sports under a huge umbrella where it can be much greater as a whole, where we can all help each other.
Yeah, like how would you not want somebody like that helping you brand a sport like this? And again, it's not just USPSA, it's USPSA, IDPA, 3-gun, Steel Challenge, like all those, Precision Rifle Series, like all those things, Outlaw Steel, everything that falls under, even something friggin' bow hunting. I mean, all these things that can, if you get somebody like that on your team that's like, oh, maybe I can make this into a career. Like, how awesome is that? You're affording somebody the ability to help you protect yourself.
Right, and I agree. That's so awesome. But we also have to look at the behind the scenes, because we're talking about all these finances to pay out the players or the athletes to come out here and shoot. But you're saying putting this on like, ESPN and stuff like that. I know.
No, I didn't say that. I said.
Well, still, just commercializing it means it's going to have to get televised. It's got to have to be something to promote it. So behind that being that televising it is money. So
agreed.
How much is going to cost to advertise it? How much is it going to cost to put commercials together? You want to put it out there, and then that means that we got to have to run shows on sports channels. How much is a sports channel going to charge, the USPSA to run an episode or the competition out there? It actually gets kind of costly. I don't know the numbers offhand, but I do know that it does become costly, because I was a little bit involved, and I say a little bit involved in some of this stuff. And when I was doing the Firefighter Combat Challenge, it actually becomes costly behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see that goes on, because they're in front of the curtain, not behind the curtain, where there's a lot of doling out of money and making contracts and making deals and saying, how much is this going to cost us? So I think it's a great idea. But again, we got to look at the behind the scenes, how much it's going to cost to get this thing going. And that's what we got to really, really look at. And I don't know if the president of the USPSA is looking at something like that, going like, hey, I agree with you guys, but guess what? It's going to cost this much. So now I got to raise the prices for everybody to this amount to get this going. And I know a lot of people get upset. Even now for local matches, the prices have increased. And so some people get upset now because they're like going, why are you increasing it? Because they're like, hey, look, I've got to pay for this, I got to pay for that, I got to do this in order for us to get this. So I think you have a great idea, but we definitely have to look behind the curtain to see what the finances are going to be. So I think it's something that needs to be talked about with the president. I'm not the person to talk to him about it, but I would love to hear what goes on, what the finances are going to, where they're being spent at, and how can we make this a more, like you said, I don't know. And I don't want to say, like Leo said, I don't want to say commercialized, but more out there sport,
mainstream.
Yes. Yeah, we gotta work on our branding. You know who we can talk to? We can get Casey, because her and Mr. Foley are on a first name basis. Apparently, we can ask her to ask him to be on the podcast, and we'll make it happen, and it'll be perfect. And then everybody, you're welcome. We're gonna fix USPSA's people getting paid for going to nationals system in one podcast. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
we're just that good. We'll have a strategy meeting and everything right here, and everybody's going to be able to see it on YouTube.
There you go.
And I know there's a lot of expense with this as well, but I think probably need to grow the partnership. You know what I mean? The greatest thing the NFL ever did was Monday Night Football. Pete Rozelle did Monday Night Football, and the sport took off, and it's dominated every other sport since then. So
you're absolutely right. And maybe we need to put a survey out there to say, hey, what can we do to make this better? To take it to the next level. Maybe some shooters are going to sit there and say, hey, I would like to see this televised. I like to see this, instead of shooting on the weekends, shooting on a Wednesday or something. I don't know. But we might have to do that and put a survey out there and get information so that way we can go to the next level.
Right.
Yeah, and then just picking partnerships that will actually help, again, with branding. It's such a big deal when you see somebody. Listen, we have, I don't know how many, Dave would know the number of how many actual listeners we have, but when we wore our shirts to the shoot on, not the steel challenge, or not the steel one that you went to today, but the classifier match that we went to, how many people are like, hey, I'm going to listen to the show just because we had a shirt on. It's like, hey, this is our podcast. Like, branding is a big deal. And if you make and you select the appropriate partnerships, then we can make things bigger. We can make things better. We can make things more recognizable. And then you'll have, all those dudes on Wheaties boxes.
Yeah.
And ladies, ladies as well, obviously, because there's.
Find the next Doug Flutie.
Except not Canadian.
Right.
We have met enough Canadians. 2 is my limit. They're amazing people, but I'm 2 for now.
And you can even look at the Williams sisters. How great of ambassadors would they be in
16
the
and
public
17?
Side? Yeah.
You're telling me that 2 athletic and capable young ladies at the ages of 16 and 17 can't help grow your brand?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They have their fingers on the pulse of stuff we don't understand because we're basically ancient at this point.
Oh yeah.
Well, you guys, I've still got some vitality left.
But I agree.
Physical next month.
I agree with you. Those young ladies we just brought them up today when I was up there at this Outlaw Steel competition or local shoot today, about how those young ladies are so awesome and how they are, how that they are enjoying the sport and they just go out there and have a good time, and yet when they get up on the line, it's business. But then when they come off that line, it's all like, hey, how you doing? Having a good time. And that's what we need. We need for them to be the ambassadors to the younger generations, to bring them up to say, hey, look, enjoy this. This is a fun little sport, So I agree with you. And that we should use them as the youth ambassadors. So
Yeah. Thank you for that thought.
Yes.
Agreed. Well, that's the thing though. Like everybody right now in this sport is basically Marshawn Lynch. Like they're surviving and they've made a career based on endorsements and branding as opposed to being paid athletes. You know what I mean? Like they're not like a basketball player right now that gets paid and then the additional income or football, because I said Marshawn Lynch. Their main income isn't competing and doing the sport. It's advertising and all those partnerships that they've managed to do. And again, if you can make that a supplement as opposed to the actual paycheck, I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. I'm not getting paid by anybody.
No.
Well, except the department.
Yeah.
So.
But they're not even paying for this, so we're not getting paid.
Which is good. They're not supposed to do that. So.
That's right. That's right. So we were freelancing right now.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. But when you brought up the person Marshawn Lynch, and I think that's something you use right now. What happened is what they use the name called beast mode. He said beast mode. I go beast mode. And then that took off. Somebody's like, oh yeah, we can take that and brand it and
trademark it. Yep.
Right.
TM.
He is going beast mode. So it's almost like we have to.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Not even a little bit. Nope.
Yeah, but we have to. There has to be something like that with the Williamson girls to be like, oh, they've gone something. They've done this or whatever. They've got to have their niche, and then
they done messed up AA Walmart. There's a fun story behind that, folks. Just so we're all aware.
It is a
we'll
funny
get into
story.
it one day. But we are running a little long, so we'll talk about that one later.
All right. So,
but yeah, just here verbally trademarking cardboard, slaying cardboard ninjas. That's ours. You can't have that one, people.
Yep.
But anyway.
Can't be doing that. So I think that was something good to talk about. I enjoyed it. Dave, what are your thoughts?
In addition to everything I've already said?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. I think I would. I mean, I have a lot of ideas about it. I've got like several pages actually of notes that I've taken on this topic. But that's like, this would be a 3-part series if we did that.
I was about to say, this is probably part 1.
Yeah. Just mentioning it, then getting into the meat of it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of room to grow marketing wise.
Mm-hmm.
And marketing and recruiting. So there would be definitely more expenditures earlier on to grow the name and expand all of it. But I think it would be paid back tenfold in a relatively short period of time. Because I think it would be very easy to recruit the pistol manufacturers with putting just a postcard size thing with each gun in those boxes that go out. And again, like I said, if you were able to create an umbrella organization for all of the shooting sports, then you could have all of those shooting sports on that card in those purchases. So now people like have all of these options, and even if they choose something other than USPSA, whether it be 3-gun or PRS or whatever, it's still another advocate out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody on our side saying, wait a minute, you have all of these people out here competing that you're now saying are not worthy of owning a gun with a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. And that's simply not the case. Now we're getting to politics, but anyway, I think there's a lot of growth that can be done. The biggest thing I have for this is wanting to bring in the highest level competitors that they are. Incentivize them, knowing that there is a potential career in this without having to kill yourself every week or every weekend of your life to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to make it more mainstream, bring in a lot more competition, maybe even grow it a little bit more internationally and more sponsorships with those organizations.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's a good idea. Right now I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised. And again, I'm not there in the meetings. I'm not there to hear what's going on. I wish I could be in here, but I am really surprised that some of these manufacturers and just even the parts makers and everything of that nature have not gotten with the USPSA, the Three Gun Nation, the other ones, and really pushed it. Now, I know at one point in time, Three Gun was pretty up there. I mean, I remember seeing it on TV, and then it went bye bye. I don't know the legalities, what happened, but it disappeared. So I think I might have to do some more investigation on that and find out what happened. But I think you're right. We need to get those other gun manufacturers, the reps, the ammunition manufacturers, the other people out here, the aftermarket people, even to get involved in this, to bring that out, because this is a great sport. And it definitely can go to the next level and then some.
Absolutely.
So
I think one of the and I don't want to be the final thought on this ever, but it's an opportunity to use, and not, I shouldn't say use, to have a sport be the thing that protects a right. And again, I don't ever want to be super political on this show, but the best way to protect something that is inherently a right for you is to make it so that people want to protect it. And there's safety in numbers. And the more people we have on our side, and the more that we can do something that we love to do, that is fun,
yes.
safe,
yes,
enjoyable,
uh-huh.
and is something that you can that is inherently something you should be allowed to do.
Yes.
So let's get fully on the horn and make this happen.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
that's all I got.
Okay.
I don't think we have time to talk about other topics today.
But
unless we want this to be a 3-hour show.
35,000 would literally be 0.05% of all gun owners.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Statistically insignificant.
It's
only half of a tenth of a percent.
Yeah. Let's make this. Let's make ourselves a statistical significance. Yeah. It's only going to help.
Yep.
Well, there you go. Science, people.
Science.
So, what do you guys have to say? Anything? So, let's hold on. Let me back up. So, Huggy, how was the match today?
Oh well, the morning match only had 10 participants in it, so we actually divided ourselves up into 5. So it actually went pretty quickly.
Shocker.
Yeah. So I mean, the group I was in, first I would like to welcome Dr. Laura into the Canic family. Yeah, she's got a Canic SFX with the dot.
Take that, Tyler Turner. That's a doctor.
Yeah, so she was shooting that today, and I was very pleased to see that, and I welcomed her to the Canic family. But we had a nice little group. We had a good time. We had fun, and enjoyed it. It went quickly, and it was over before you know it. I mean, we just had a good shoot. So
Did you wear your podcast shirt?
Why, yes, I did.
Okay, just checking.
Well, yes. People were asking about it, and I told them just go to Casual Shooters podcast, and they were like, and I even had one person asking like, I looked it up and I can't find it. Just Google Casual Shooters podcast.
Yep.
You will find it. So
Yep.
We're on the internet, folks.
When I Googled it before I sent that email, the first two things that popped up were us that you can find on the internet.
We're Googleable.
The interwebs.
That's right.
Yeah, on the old interwebs.
So,
that's right. On the line. We are on the line.
That's right.
And everybody, again, I'll say this, that everybody was looking for you two. As soon as they saw me, they were asking like, where's Leo? Where's Dave? When they're coming back up here? So again, you two are very, very missed up there. Everybody likes you guys up there and enjoy when the three of us are together shooting, because they're like, we're just the three amigos entertaining everybody.
That's okay.
Does that make me Martin Short or Chevy Chase?
Yes.
I'll take it.
It makes you Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
That is a win. If you ain't first, you're last, folks.
That's right.
Also not a sponsor, but still a fan.
Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
That's right. That's right. So
not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. But yeah.
So how many stages were there?
There was actually like 7 stages, and actually they were actually really good stages. One stage made me have flashbacks to the Nationals, and I mean when I say that, meaning that
so
like PTSD.
So you're saying you had a malfunction?
He got me, but no malfunctions. It was actually stage 2 at Nationals, the memory stage.
Memory stage, yeah.
So it was kind of a mock memory stage, but with the steel. So it actually was like, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks. Oh, this is going to hurt. But it was fun. And I was like, okay, I know what to do. I know where to do. And I flowed through it, and it worked great. But I will have to tell you, they came out with like that 2-inch steel. Man,
the little square guy, right?
They had the little square guy and the little round guy.
Uh-huh.
The little round guy. Oh man, it made you work. It made you work. But it was good stages. There were some good stages. Texas Star came out, and I actually had to say I smoked that. I was actually very happy at smoking the Star. But it was all around actually a good shoot today. But then of course I looked up in the sky and I'm like, yeah, it looks like it's about to dump snow on us. I mean, granted, the weather up there is 58 degrees right now, but the temperature, or I should say the weather, is about to change, and it's going to get cold. So I think this is going to.
It's going to. It's cold, man.
Yeah,
it's cold. It's not Canada cold, but it's cold.
No, it's not. It's not. And as a matter of fact, I just had a friend.
No ice quakes.
Instagram, who shoots out in the Northwest, put their video up and shot in the snow like we shot in West Virginia, but theirs was even heavier snow, and I was like, nope, it ain't happening, Captain. I ain't doing that no more.
No, I'm good. I'm old, man. Not doing that again. No. Got bad knees, bad back. No, I'm out.
That's it.
And you're calling us ancient?
Yeah, I'm imagining how you guys feel when I feel as bad as I feel. There's less of you to carry around, Dave.
That was a life choice. I'm just saying.
Fair point. You win this round. I could just keep my big old gob shut, but have you seen my wife? You know, she feeds me. And she scares me too. So what if she puts it in front of me? Oh, it's delicious. I'm gonna. Yep. So yeah. Well, I'm glad you had fun and got to hang with the doc. She's cool. I like her.
Yeah.
She's good people. Shout out to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also not a sponsor.
Yeah. And Denny, he was shooting with us and Scott and had a new young lady, Kim Moss. But she usually shoots Steel Challenge, but she came out to shoot the Outlaw Steel today, and she did well also for her first Outlaw Steel. So it was a good little group. We had a good time. So, but you guys were sorely missed, and everybody asks about you guys all the time. So,
well, don't call me Shane.
Leo, what do you have to say this week?
Oh man, I had so much stuff, but we definitely don't have enough time to talk about it. But at some point, it had to do. Oh, actually, it was a piggyback onto your thing, talking about the European Extreme model and having. I saw Julie Gollop was shooting in Europe, and she was on like day 3 of like 30 some odd stages, and it just harkened back to talking to Mike and Lise about how like those European Extreme matches and how interesting it is to shoot that many stages in a day. Because to me, that's crazy.
That is a marathon.
Yeah. So I do think, just like I said, to kind of piggyback onto the previous conversation, I do think that would be very, very interesting for us to not necessarily adopt, but if we want to have more people at nationals with the ranking system, like, hey, you're going to shoot 22 stages in a day, and that's going to be your nationals. Or not necessarily, but something to that effect. Like, hey, there's going to be, you shoot this day, this group shoots this day, this shoot, like, so instead of 3 days of, 7, 7, and 7, it's 3 days of you shoot your 22, 21 or 22, you shoot your 21 or 22, you shoot your 21 or 22, and at the end, we'll see who wins. And then, the next 3 days is, okay, you guys shoot your next 21 and 22, and just depending on how many people are there, So I do think it's interesting, but it's also, there's some endurance involved in that. Like my shoulder would not have held up for that long a day.
I would be curious to see how many people compete in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, didn't they say you don't, they call it taping. You don't tape anything there.
Yeah.
All you're doing is shooting.
Yeah. Staff does everything. You don't reset. You don't put the pacers up, nothing. You just shoot and then that's it.
Well, and look, again, going back to USPSA, I mean, it's their nationals. Why can't they have the equipment necessary to be able to run it like that? You know what I mean? Where the staff does all the resetting and the taping, and the next person is standing on the ready mark, waiting for the staff to come back. And as soon as they walk back, they're like, make ready.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% because I thought that is what should have happened when we were at nationals. I'm serious. When you got 3 or 4 or 5 staff members sitting there, I'm like,
and then I don't get yelled at for not resetting the stage, even though I'm the only one that reset a stage. I'm still mad about that.
Right. And then the thing of it is,
hashtag not bitter at all.
Hashtag 100% pissed.
But at the same time, if there is a discrepancy or something, you've got the officials there instead of 2 walking around. They're there setting it up, and they can be like, oh, okay, hold on, we got a problem over this one, so when you guys come over here, we got a conference about it. Go back to instant replay and be like, but
oh yeah, and then there's no way that they could get mad at you for pasting early, and you're like, well, what was that? I don't know.
Exactly.
The staff's the one that screws it up. Put it on them.
So I agree with you. Staff should have been. I don't know why USPSA don't have the staff members taking care of all that stuff. I mean,
all you have to do is have a couple paster guns on every.
That's right.
Day. The USPSA supply them, and they go in, and after they score, go to the next one, score, go to the next one, score, and you're done.
That's right.
I agree. I will say, let me back up real quick. The national champ who didn't show up, Ben Steger, came out on his podcast and said it was because of the ROs and how sloppy they've been the last couple of years. He did not want to put up with it.
Oh, my.
Very interesting. So it didn't have to do with money, but still, Anyway,
I mean, I'd be willing to put up with some nasty people if I could get some money.
Exactly.
You give me 50 grand, I'll be like, all right, go ahead and be sloppy. Well, and it goes back to that whole conversation that you and I have had. I'm pretty sure Huggy's been in on this about the DQs and not punishing ROs, but having some kind of disciplinary action come down on RO. Because we talked about that. My first nationals, we had somebody get DQ'd because they had a negligent discharge at the end of a stage where the RO said, unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down holster. Well, the RO wasn't paying attention, and he didn't watch the shooter the shooter didn't pull the mag out, and he unloaded, but all he did was load another round in, and when he went to go drop the hammer, was striker fire, but he shot off a round.
Right.
And it came up the other day because we prevented that happening at the shoot the other day. And why isn't the RO getting punished or having some kind of action taken? Like, you're disqualifying somebody because the RO didn't do their job.
Right.
That's literally what they're there for. Right. As my boss says to me all the time, that is literally your job.
And the same doctor we were talking about, she was shooting PCC.
Yep. Yeah, she used to shoot PCC, yeah.
Yeah, and same thing happened, and I saw it. So I'm like, whoa, stop. I'm not even an RO.
Right.
But I'm just paying attention. So yeah. Anyway.
Right. I agree with you. And just like now, I mean, there should be some action taken against them. What the action is, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know either.
But you just can't run shooters at a national or a major. You can't run a shooter. You got to go be at the score table.
Right.
Just go sit in the corner.
Yeah.
Nobody puts the baby in the corner. I just did. Go sit in the corner.
You've been demoted.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
And we're going to get you a crayon, not a pencil, because you can't even pay attention.
You're right. So
sorry, it irks me.
And I agree with you. It does irk you, and I can't say any better. But here, the president needs to come out and say something. They need to establish something to say this, and have the ROs to be a lot more responsible. And the ROs need to do something, because to me sometimes it's like, like at nationals, it's like there's a couple ROs, I will give them props. They did their job. I give them props.
Yeah, I will say this go around, and we talked about it before. I think they did a very good job. There were definitely some standouts at certain stages that were, I mean, brilliant, amazing, super paying attention, on point. And then everybody else generally, I think, did a good job.
Right. But there are some that I'm like, are you just here for the t-shirt? You just want to wear
nice shirts.
They are nice shirts, but it's like, is that all you wanted to wear? Is just to wear the t-shirt and just kind of flex a little bit and be like, I'm staff. It's like, come on. No, you should be out here helping people and making sure things are being run properly. So I'm gonna get off of that soapbox now.
Cool. But yeah, that's all I had.
Until next time.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.